We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Well-Hatted Cinema Club. My name's Eric, as always joined by my two incredibly handsome co-hosts, Micah and Brian. And for
doing?
a first on the pod, ladies and gentlemen, we got a very special guest here. Hailing from Chicago, Illinois, representing all the moviegoers in Chicago. He's a wizard on the Fortnite sticks. He'll box you like a fish. I'm sitting in his living room right now. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mike Rivera. Wow.
Welcome.
Look at this. Mike, thanks for hopping on, brother.
Thank you. It's an absolute honor. I'm very excited.
This is going to be a great pod, ladies and gentlemen. Mike has chosen our movie of the week for us. As always with our agenda, we're going to start with our movie news roundup, go around and talk about what we've been hearing the last week in terms of what's going on in Hollywood and the world. Then we're going to jump into Mike's movie pick. No time for a game this week, but we're going to make it a good one. This is a great movie pick. But as always, we're going to go around the horn and start talking about what we've been watching this last week. So Mike, as our guest, I'll kick it over to you. What have you been watching this last week, good sir?
Thanks, Eric, and thank you again for you guys letting me join. Longtime fan, been there since day one, so it's good to be here speaking with you guys. Last week, I did a little Molly Gordon double feature, watched Booksmart and Theater Camp back to back.
Nice.
I gotta say, it is my first time watching both of those. I don't think I've seen a project that Molly Gordon has been in that I disliked, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that she should be booked in every comedy moving forward. She just has a kind of pacing that is phenomenal. And maybe that's just like a generational thing. I feel like the types of projects she's in really hit on like our generation, like late 20s. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if the younger generation likes her movies. I don't know if the older generation likes her movies. But I certainly really appreciate her performances and really liked what she did in both of those. Booksmart obviously being super influential over the last couple of years in terms of comedies. I started it one time with one of our mutual friends when I was in college, Nate, and then he just decided he wanted to stop watching midway through. So I'd never actually finished it all the way through, but I undid that heinous thing that Nate did to me all those years ago, and I finally watched it. So really enjoyed both of those. Got a good chuckle out of them. And then on Sunday, I went and saw Mission Impossible with Nate, actually. I saw the new Mission Impossible. It was awesome. I'm sure you guys talked about it last week. I haven't gotten to that episode yet, but it was so sick. It was so sick. The stunts were crazy. I did feel a little bit like, and I'll probably speak about this later, I'm sure. One of my main qualms with trailers is that it kind of gives things away, and I felt like the submarine stunt, I was like, he's going to get out of this because we haven't seen the planes yet that are on like the poster.
That's a good point,
and
actually.
In the trailer.
Yeah.
I was like, where are the planes? It's still, my hands were getting real clammy watching a lot of that stuff, especially knowing that it's actually Tom in those things. He's a madman. He's done it again. It was absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
And then obviously I watched Paris, Texas, our movie of the week. So excited.
Yeah, we'll get into that one.
Yeah, excited to talk about that as well.
That's all good stuff. Molly Gordon.
A pretty good week right there, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. That's a double feature. I'm not sure many people have ripped yet. But
I like her though, man. I think she's a talented young lady. I feel like I haven't seen her in anything. I thought she was a little annoying in The Bear.
That's
the first season before she first shows up, but that's a
Yeah.
character. I think as an actress, I think she's great. I think I'm definitely excited. I'm excited to see her in things.
She runs in that crew of like Rachel, Sinette, and
yeah,
Io.
They feel like the theater kids.
Yeah,
like
really
it's literally
do.
like it's the theater kids you knew from like high school. Yeah, she's in that. Yeah, isn't she? She is in that. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was good in that. You know who she was funny in that movie? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say Jimmy Tatro's in Theater Camp. He should be booked for more stuff. I've been watching Jimmy Tatro since his like YouTube days, his early YouTube days.
Yeah.
And obviously Real Bros of Simi Valley, American Vandal. Like,
no, he's hilarious.
So funny. he's unbelievably talented, and I think he should get more, widespread attention.
He had a small role in Modern Family, which people forget, like a recurring role. And
I don't remember
later.
that.
Didn't watch. It's later in the show.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like he's getting more and more acting gigs, and like you said, I'm glad to see it because I think he's funny as hell.
Dude, speaking of American Vandal, we ripped. That was with you, Brian, right? When you
we were all
down here to visit,
as
we ripped a whole season of American Vandal.
We're all lying on your floor. We're lying on Bailey's floor. We
put
pain.
Carly and Megan through that like that.
Yeah. My ass.
Yeah,
season 1.
Season 1. It was season 1. We just won
the Dix episode.
Yeah, I think season 2 is a little better, but not the point. Jimmy, why don't you tell us what you've been watching, pal?
Yeah. Oh, did you ask me, right?
Yes. He said, good.
All right.
Lay it
down. I'll give a couple things. So Micah was kind enough to lend me his copy of Sunrise on Sunrise at the Reaping, the new Hunger Games book.
I finished it.
I finished it. I also finished it this week. I got access to the pool, and I was just sitting out by the pool this week and ripping it. I enjoyed the book. It's
horribly depressing.
It's
horribly depressing. What the fuck?
I'm very excited to watch this put on the big screen with this cast coming up. So that's one thing. But similar to Mike, I went and I talked about this last episode. I went and rewatched Mission Impossible while I was still in IMAX. I figured I would go and I watched it last Thursday.
Did you get to go see it again?
Yeah, I ripped it solo. I was like, I looked it up and there was just one seat in the middle, so I was like, oh, I'll go join the sickos. Watching again, and at our local AMC, this is Tyson's for Mike and Micah. There was a line outside. I told Micah this story. Oh. So this is last Thursday, which is also the, I guess, the opening night for the new Karate Kid. And I'm sitting in line there, and I look over, and I see a guy like his buddy is filming him like with a camera, and he's like doing the whole influencer shit. He's like, what's going on, guys? I'm out here right now. I've got my ticket to Karate Kids Legends. Now, I'm not really excited. I'm like half listening because I'm just like, this is really cringy. He's like, I'm not excited to see this movie at all because it seems like they're not even referencing like the Cobra Kai series. Like they don't even have any of the characters from any of the seasons, and he's going on about the show. And I'm just like internally cringing. I see him go up and get in line, and he's giving the guy stamping the tickets like a hard time. He's just like, dude, you guys are seriously like putting out Karate Kid, and just this whole thing that made me just absolutely squirm. And it just reminded me like, this is not a movie that any of us have gone to see yet. I don't know. I like the original Karate Kid. I like the Jaden Smith one, but no, that was just a little story that threw me for a loop there. I was like, is anybody else seeing this? Is anybody else watching this? Mike, what do you got?
That just reminded me. I completely forgot to say, when I was watching Mission Impossible, a guy in the row in front of me got arrested.
What?
A cop came in shining a light and escorted him out. And we couldn't figure out what happened. But he like got tattletaled on by some other person that was in the movie like 5 minutes before. And the security couldn't get him out, and I was like, well, that's the end of that. And then a cop came in and was like, yeah, you got to come with me.
Was he drinking or doing some drugs in the theater?
I have no idea. I was just trying to my guy Tom, dude. It was nuts. Yeah. Dude, they should arrest people for being on their phone in movie theaters. They should.
Agreed.
Yeah, dude, arrest them.
Tom Cruise comes in and just kicks you in the throat if you're on your phone.
Lock him up. It's going to the earth.
That's a first for me. I've never seen that.
It was nuts.
I just went, Micah, I'll kick it over to you. What have you been watching, good sir?
I did complete all the Final Destinations, so I went and saw Bloodlines at Courthouse.
How was Bloodlines? How's it rank?
Movie was fine, I think, I'm seeing like its Rotten Tomato score and stuff, and I think like, I guess it's good for like a Final Destination movie. But the Courthouse audience was also like on one. I don't know. Something's got to happen. Hopefully with Phoenician Scheme, the talkers and the phoners. Some kid was actively scrolling TikTok in the row in front of me. And I think he was being considerate because he's like, if I turn to the side, I'm not distracting anyone. But all he did was give me the full view of his phone. But yeah, the movie was fine. The chick next to me really loved it. Any thought that came in her head was just shooting out of her mouth. And then, kind of similar to just of the moment I saw like a TikTok. It was like, oh, here's a gay movie from the 1940s. So that was Alfred Hitchcock's Rope is something I watched with Jimmy Stewart, the guy from that Christmas movie.
So it's a wonderful life, right? He's the star of that movie. Yeah.
So it's like Alfred Hitchcock, like one room, these two guys murder one of their friends and then hide his body in this like chest. Oh, okay.
Jimmy Stewart.
No, that's
Jimmy Stewart.
It's the book.
But then they throw like a tablecloth over the box they put his body in, and they host a dinner party with his parents, his fiance, and his best friend, and then their professor is played by Jimmy Stewart, and they just have this dinner party, and the whole time they're just like, wow, we're getting away with it, we're so fucking clever. And then Jimmy Stewart like detectives it out. It was pretty good. It was good. They did like a disguised like oneer type of deal, and there's only like 6 cuts in the whole movie. Super tight. Really enjoyed that. And then I watched the movie of the week. Started listening to the Narnia books. Got like the first one's narrated by Kenneth Branagh, so that was nice to listen to while I was working. Yeah, what about you, Brian?
I know I gotta get on that. So a couple movies. I'd say a couple of casual viewings with my roommates. One was Hot Rod, which one of my roommates hadn't seen yet. I think that movie just holds a special place in my heart. I think it's fucking hilarious. That one's there's not a whole lot to go into on that one. Another one we watched, we were all drunk. We put on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Johnny Depp one from 2006, not the 1970. So not the 1977 one with Gene Wilder, which is my Willy Wonka. Okay. Listen, it's fine, but there's a whole bunch of people who like don't recognize. They don't even know about what I thought was like the iconic Willy Wonka. Yeah. Like, that's my Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Oompa Loompa Doopity Doo. They think the little Indian. They think the little Indian dudes running around doing that. I don't know. It's a little less. It's fine. I think Johnny Depp does a cool job.
Or is that strike one for you?
No, he's an Indian guy. Like the actor who plays him is Indian. I don't know. Like they're not actually Indian.
That's strike one.
That's not strike one. Fuck off. No, it's just funny. Like I think it's a fine adaptation. I just think the other one's way better. I think it has a lot more weight. Grandpa Joe is an all-time movie villain.
People hate
lays in
Joe.
bed. Dude, he lays in bed all day. Oh, is he Indian? Please tell. I can't read what you're saying. Pakistan. What is he?
British.
Oof, Brian. Maybe 2 strikes.
Okay, that's strike one. Shit, all right, fine. That's strike one. Anywho. No, Grandpa Joe was just explaining it, man. Like, you just watch this dude. Like, they're all sitting in bed. The family's suffering in a one shack off town. And then he just gets out of bed at the prospect of free chocolate. No problem at all, dickhead. But the big one I watched was I went to theaters, did not see Karate Kid. I went to see Bring Her Back, the Filippo brothers' next jaunt. Is it a horror movie? No. Is it horrifying to watch? Kind of. I thought it was really great. It's a movie about grief, and it's a very disturbing, like dread-filled, kind of somber piece about like death and processing and how it affects different loved ones. There's also a occult dynamic to it and some scenes that I will literally never get out of my head ever. I cannot unsee or unhear some of the things that I saw in that movie. One specifically regarding a kitchen utensil and a piece of cantaloupe. It was horrifying to watch, but I thought it was great, and I think it wrapped up really well, and these guys have a talented future ahead of them. It's very different. Like Talk to Me was kind of their like fun, like horror, it's kind of like it was almost like like the talented teenagers made a horror movie.
Yeah,
even though I know they're not teenagers, they're probably in their 20s, but it was fun, and they were it was kind of a zaniness to it. No, there was nothing zany about this. It was Sally Hawkins was fantastic in this movie. The little kid, oh my god! But yeah, I will say that like I haven't had a movie that I have a physical reaction to in a while, and that one happened.
That's what I'd been hearing. Like people were getting sick at this movie, like physically sick. And I know people have been saying that about like Long Legs last year, but even more so, I feel like. This
one. But that's the thing. It's like this wasn't like it was different than like like we've seen movies where like people do bloody things. Like I've seen, like I remember Smile. Like, I've seen people peel their face, all this stuff. It's something like it's very grounded. Like it's not like anything weird. It's just like very like there's biting things. I don't do well with stuff involving teeth.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of that. I don't know if you ever thought about chewing on a steak knife, but that is one of the things
I'm
that
good.
happens.
I'm
in this
good off
movie.
that, man. I can't believe
Yeah.
I saw it in theaters.
This is why I'm excited for that Together movie with Alison Brie.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's. But I just want to say though that I thought the movie was actually like very well done, and like I was actually enthralled by the story, and I thought it was sad at times, and it was very emotional. So like they did have to throw in a little bit of body horror just to keep the trend going. But I thought it was a great movie. I'm glad I got to see it. I was one of 3 people in the theater, and one person left after that one scene. So it was me and one other person.
Can hang. That's tough.
Man,
Yeah. So that
only
was what
3
I watched.
people.
Well, it was, to be fair, it was 11:30 on a Tuesday, guys. Just give them a little credit.
AM
Tuesday.
or PM?
AM.
Okay, I don't know.
I didn't have lunch
I'm
yet.
not gonna make an unemployment joke. I'm not gonna make an unemployment
Man,
joke.
it's
He's
2 weeks,
employed.
dickhead.
TBD.
I'm employed. I'm in between jobs.
But speaking of employed,
Speaking, it's fucking. You got it. You got me by 2. by half a second.
finally, Mikey Madison with a job. She's been very picky, and so now she's going to replace Sydney Sweeney in the A24 distributed adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Mask of the Red Death from director Charlie Pollinger. So that's pretty interesting. She's going to play twins. And I guess the story is that there's a rich guy in a castle, and there's a plague outside, so he brings in all the rich people, just so, like, the peasants, like, kind of die and waste away. And they're going to do, like, a Prince and the Pauper thing, 'cause she's playing twins. One of them's rich, one of them's not. So I haven't read the story yet. Should be intriguing. The guy just directed The Plague, which is, like, kind of a metaphor for bullying. A bunch of kids at, like, a summer camp pick on this one kid saying he has a disease, and I think it starts to like manifest from his mind that he's actually diseased. So I don't know.
Interesting.
All that sounds psychologically terrifying. I don't know. What do you guys
Yeah.
think?
That was gonna be my first question. I'm assuming this is gonna be a horror movie.
I mean, Edgar Allan Poe, I would hope.
Yeah. The way it's teed up. Originally billed Sydney Sweeney. I mean, she's coming off of Immaculate. We were talking about this with Neon, right? So yeah, Mikey's been picky.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's done horror before.
Yeah.
Like,
Honestly,
Brian.
The only thing I know. Oh, sorry. The only thing I know about the Red Death is because with Mike Flanagan's Fall of the House Usher, that first kid who dies, Prospero, that's the Mask of the Red Death. But I don't think they're doing orgy and acid rain. But from what I remember, it's supposed to be like a big party with rich people. So that's what that influence was from that. But that's all I know about it, and I don't think it's exact. It's a 1-to-1 translation, obviously, because this was a horror series from Mike Flanagan. But that was that story from Fall of the House Usher. But yeah, I mean, what do you? I'm seeing this thing about the director. I don't know anything about this guy, Pollinger.
Yeah.
No,
I was saying he's like new.
His other
like
movie,
his
The
second ever
Plague.
movie.
Yeah, The Plague is also a horror movie.
Yeah,
so.
It's coming out. Well, it's like I don't know what I would call it. I haven't seen it, but it was at Cannes, and it's coming out like this year. So apparently it's good enough that he's got people lining up to be in his movie.
Okay, well, hey, screw it, I'm in. Mike,
Yeah.
you got an opinion on this?
Ooh.
All right, what do we got?
Oh, it's not exactly. Neither of these things are super uplifting or exciting, but the first one, I actually sent this, I think, to Eric and Micah earlier this week, is that AMC is reportedly planning to add more ads before movies. And I know this is something that you have brought up, Brian, on this podcast because, I was listening. And this is something that I also agree is an absolute travesty. There are too many things happening before the movie.
Thank you.
When I was in there on Sunday, I couldn't believe how many things were coming up on the screen between the trailers and the movie starting. And the worst one is, and I've said this to Micah before, that Coca-Cola ad of those two people dancing
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
driving the car, etc., etc. It pisses me off so much.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's not even just the Nicole Kidman. There's also like the laser thing. Then there's also the like silence is golden bit. They had a. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. Maybe it was just me because I was in a horror movie. There's a whole Mithrigan, silence your phone bit now.
Oh, instead
And
of
that
just
shit
Lilo
is
Stitch?
no, it's
They got rid of the
Mithrigan,
Lilo and
Megan.
Stitch, thankfully.
It's
I'm
Megan,
done with
and
that.
she's like, you should turn off your phone. And then it like cuts to a fake audience, and it's like, me? It's like, yeah, you turn off your phone. Oh my God, it's awful. It's
I will take all of the turn off your fucking phone reminders they can throw at me, honestly.
Yeah,
10
I
straight
guess
minutes
you're right.
of turn off your phone. I'll take that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's
Coca-Cola
out of control.
says
No,
turn off your
Megan.
phone.
I'll put that in my movie news. By the way, the Megan Mithrigan 2 trailer looks absolutely batshit. I thought it was a horror movie about an AI. No, so I will give you the lowdown. Now there's a new AI. I don't remember her name, so don't ask.
Yeah, I don't know. Evil.
It's not
She's
Mithrigan.
She's the no. Mithrigan. They put
Mithrigan?
her in a little like they put Megan at the end of this. I didn't see the first one. They put her in essentially a body where she can't do anything
An Alexa,
because they're like, you're on
basically.
timeout. They're like, they're basically like, hey, you need to behave yourself, and let me take you out. And then there's a new AI who's played by like one of the chicks from like Ahsoka or something. She's like killing things, and she's like, I know how to stop. And they're like, all right, Megan, we're gonna have to build you a new body. So they build her a super body, and then she goes to fight the other AI. That's Megan too.
They're just doing Terminator and Terminator 2.
Yes, Terminator, but now it's
they're just doing that with Mithrigan.
Mithrigan. It's
I mean, this
funny as
movie's
fuck.
always been based off of vibes since people like turned it into a meme, and like they know
Yeah.
their audience. I mean, like you like the dancing, you like the sassiness.
Yeah, I believe the tagline is bitch versus that bitch. Or
Okay.
something like that. It's something ridiculous.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
People
Pretty
seem to be
fun.
into it.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, they're big into the sassiness. All right.
Big into the sassiness. I will say though, on Mike's AMC point, just to close the loop there, I think we clocked it before the first Mission Impossible that Mike and I went to. It's like almost 30 minutes on the dot from like when you sit down. If it's like our movie tonight's at 7, the movie should start at 7:30. Which that seems pretty egregious. And I'm somebody that like I enjoy watching the trailers as long as it's like not
Speak no
the
evil.
Wolfman or Speak No Evil like drop. Like I don't need this. Yeah,
Dogman.
Dogman
I like
is insane.
Dogman. I kind of want to watch.
Time out. But I like the trailers if they're good, but I can't.
No, it's
I'm
too
with
long
you.
though. It's like I like the trailers too, man. I like to get in there early, but I think like Mike was saying, it's like you'll be amazed at how long the trailers go, and then you'll be amazed with the point when it goes like the trailer ends, and you'll be like, okay, well now it's done, and there'll be another probably 4 to 7 minutes of just like the brightest colors. And then it'll go like Coca-Cola ad, and then another silence your phone ad, and then Nicole Kidman will come out. And if you're lucky, that'll be it.
If you're
It'll start.
Dude, if we're approaching 40 minutes of ads, that's
It's crazy.
For like that's almost half the time of some of these 90-minute movies that
And
are
then you go,
getting put
but
out.
then you go to like you ever run late to a movie, and then like it's a different theater that you're not familiar with, and you're like, fuck, I almost missed the movie. Like,
Yeah,
I had
you
one
ain't.
time where I went to I was
You're not
late.
missing shit.
I was late to a smaller theater, and I was like, I'm 10 minutes late, but it's chill. There's trailers, and then I get in there, and they're like, they were dropping the curtain. I'm like, damn, all right.
We showed up like 2 minutes late to Grand Theft
Challengers.
Hamlet.
Oh yeah, and
And-
Grand
Oh,
Theft.
right.
They did not.
Yeah.
They didn't
It's
do
just that
ads for
theater,
that
I
one. I
guess.
bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hoffman
It was
just
nuts.
went straight into it. And maybe
Yeah.
it was the way that like, because that was such a small release. I don't know what
Yeah.
trailers, and they're not like. I don't
mean,
even
both
know
of
if they
those
were
were-
picked up by a production company, like who was releasing it.
Yeah.
Dude, I forgot that was this year. Grand Theft Hamlet. What a time.
That was like right when you guys started. We started the pod. You guys brought that up.
Yeah,
right when we
insane.
started.
That
the
might have
pod.
even been the Lost Pod. But
Yeah, that might have been. Wait. So I'm just gonna jump on the next thing here. I did not know they were doing one of them days sequels again. I hadn't seen that movie personally. Has anyone seen one of them days?
One of them
Raise your
days
hand.
with
No.
Kiki Palmer and
Kiki with
SZA,
SZA, Kiki Palmer.
and that dropped
Yeah.
this year. Did that also
Yeah,
have
that
like
was also
I've heard
early.
good things.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it. I think it's a pretty good. I've heard like people who've seen it. A couple of my friends did. Good buddy comedy. I like comedies being made. We like silly comedies being made.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a whole lot to break into it. But what's a crazier sequel that they just dropped? Ah 2 with Octavia
Oh
Spencer.
yeah.
Did not expect that. I
When
didn't even see the first one. Did
come
anyone
out?
here?
Like
Ooh.
2018?
A while ago,
Yeah,
man.
I
I think
know.
a while ago.
But again, that's another horror movie that got memed
2019.
into a sequel. Like
Yeah.
people just love Ma. Like ironically,
What's the gif of her like standing around the corner and like shaking her head? You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
all I know about that movie.
or that sound of her like,
Apparently
"Who wants
people
to
like-
drink?" Like,
Yeah, people like.
Yeah.
Take a
Wait, don't make me drink alone. That kind of shit.
Don't
yeah.
make me drink alone.
People like it.
Yeah.
People like it though, right? I mean, people seem to be a big fan of it. That's from what I understand.
It's like a B movie almost. Like it's very ridiculous that Octavia Spencer is playing like a very goofy. She's like hitting people with cars and trying to make out with teenagers. Like it's absurd.
Well, I actually, speaking of a kind of, I don't know if it's Blumhouse that's Mod 2, but it seems like it could be. Blumhouse sequel that with a Academy Award winning actor leading it that's coming back is the Black Phone 2 with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Which I was a big fan of the Black Phone, but if you saw the Black Phone, it'd be weird to think like, why is he coming back? But apparently they're doing like a Freddy Krueger kind of thing with him, which is kind of cool because like if you see the first one, there is a supernatural element to it, but he ultimately kid beats serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of how it goes. And then this one apparently like he's not dead. Well, he is dead, but he's not. And I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. I don't know. Did you guys see the Black Phone? I don't.
No. But
I did, and I did watch the trailer. And it looks like I don't if you saw the trailer, Brian, too. Like yes, the Freddy
yeah.
Krueger element to it. It looks like the way they shoot these like dream sequences, or also like the past of whatever's going on at this like ski lodge or camp or whatever it is. Looks very like Sinister, that kind of style to me too. I'm
Scott
excited.
Derrickson, same guy who did Sinister.
Oh well, there
Scott
you go.
Derrickson. So there you go. That's spot on. There you go. But yeah, no. Ethan Hawke, I mean, is great. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like Octavia Spencer coming back. She was probably like, listen, this role was fun. I'll do it again. Like it's a little paycheck.
Yeah.
It's probably a good time to play. You get to have a little fun with it. Why not?
You're seeing all these sort of late, like very delayed sequels for movies. Obviously, the Black Phone's a little more recent, and then Keke Palmer and SZA movies recent. But like, I mean, we just reviewed it the other week. But like, The Accountant getting a sequel a decade later,
was crazy.
that no one was really clamoring for.
Everyone hated that movie, by the way.
hold on, Eric.
we
got a couple Accountant fans in here.
I
This
loved
guy
it.
does
I
his
loved it.
tax. This guy likes to
that
play with
autistic
Jackson a
man.
ball.
I love that.
I loved it. I thought The Accountant 2 was so much better than the first one, but everyone
Yeah.
was like, dude, that shit was so whack. And I'm like, yo, I don't know, man. I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty great. People did not like it.
But
Whatever.
another horror
Their
sequel
problem.
that we liked. Alien
Aliens.
Romulus. This fall, filming
Yeah.
already.
That's great. Kaylee Spaney.
They moving quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name? Jonathan David? Did I get that wrong?
No. What's
The mech or whatever his name is, the robot guy,
Yeah. David Johnson. Sorry.
David
were they
Johnson.
both alive at the end? I'm like trying to remember.
I don't think he can
They were
die.
both.
You know,
No, but they
I
were
can
like
get
they
ripped
both
apart,
like
but
wasn't he?
they both
yeah.
survived, right?
He's an android. And I
Yeah.
apologize,
It's-
Mike. Mike, for the viewers, I feel like I'm exposing him. Is not a horror movie guy, and we're doing
Hate
a
him.
lot of horror movie talk.
We're about
this
to
episode.
Hate them. Yeah, honestly, Eric, this entire time I was just like, yep, haven't seen that one. It's scary.
Yep.
I won't sleep if I see that one.
No, that's so valid. We've been talking about microdosing horror movies with
Should
Mike.
we jump to a different news segment because I feel like we kind of staggered.
What was the one we got you to this year? We got Hell of a Summer, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
and
well-
honestly, the opening scene, I was so scared, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? I've led myself into a fucking trap. I'm stuck
Oh,
in
so
here.
you
and
really don't
also,
like them.
I hate them. And then but then it was one of my favorite movie-going experiences in a while. Like, It was so
Fire
funny.
can't burn the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the humor
He's
balanced
so
it
fun.
out, and that was okay, you know. But
Yeah.
unless it's like a straight-up comedy for the rest of the movie, like not like it's like the the horror is so like, oh, a bad horror movie, but so that makes it funny. No, it has to be legitimately funny and have a little bit of scary for me
No,
to
I
go
get
watch
it. Yeah.
It was a good
I
recipe
understand.
for that movie.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Like, I think it's right up anyone's alley.
What's
Yeah,
that?
loved it.
The one like Chuck and Dale versus Evil. That's kind of like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tucker and
Yeah,
Dale versus
exactly.
Tucker
Evil.
and
That was-
Dale.
I've seen that.
Dude,
that makes
that
it
one, I
weird.
don't
Yeah.
remember
didn't
who
like
showed me
100
that.
Oh yeah. Sorry, what were you
That was
saying,
in
Eric?
college, though.
Yeah,
We
yeah, I
ripped
think that
that
was-
movie. That movie was
Yeah.
hilarious.
I love
Yeah.
that movie.
Were you about to say
I get
you
it, though. So we
think
get-
it's weird that I didn't like Hundreds of Beavers, Micah?
Yeah.
Dude, Hundreds of Beavers was just I just didn't think it was good. Like, it's not like oh, like it was scary or anything. It just wasn't good.
Yeah, you're just like, I just didn't like it straight up.
Yeah.
just didn't like it. I have friends like that though too, Mike, where it's like even like the slightest aspect of horror starts going, like
Yeah.
the jump, the tension build, they're out. They cannot do it at all.
Dude,
like
It's so bad. Like one of my favorite TV shows of all time is Psych, and they once a season they'll do like a Halloween episode, and that shit scares me. I'm like, it's like a straight up comedy, dude. Like,
It gets to a point.
That is-
Like,
and, there's like
that is so
like,
funny,
you
bro.
know, it's like obviously there's like like I remember one of the Psych episodes is like this. They have to go to like an abandoned insane asylum, and obviously everything is. There's no supernatural elements to that TV show, but like I was like, oh my god, this is.
Yeah, you're like, nah, this is it.
But yeah, no,
I'll let you
back.
stand on it, though.
I'll be
I
better.
used to be
point.
like that.
Well, so
but
you
I
want-
just- What would you say, Brian?
Oh no, I was about to say. So Neil, say I added to the movie news just below that note. I said the Alien Earth trailer just dropped today, so I'm guessing
Yeah.
you will not be tuned into that. That I will say that the Alien ones will still get me every now and then. Like they're not scary in the other horror movie sense, but like, oh my god, will you just feel the tension in your ass? Just
Yeah. Yeah.
And also Romulus. We talked about it before. That one every now and then a jump scare comes around that like sticks out to me. Hill House back in 2018, that one had one. That one in Romulus got me so fucking bad.
Victor Wembanyama popping up
Yeah.
at the very end, just out
yeah.
of nowhere.
Dude.
Scared the
That
shit out of me.
That got me so bad.
I was in theaters too. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
We
I was
watched
like,
that shit in
it's
Dolby.
like, oh.
Like
Yeah,
that
we
was
were hearing
tough.
the alien's heartbeat. It was tough.
Mhm.
Yeah, I will say this, and actually, just a quick circle back to the Bring Her Back. I think there's one jump scare in the entire movie, really, and it got me. It got me OD. Like I was like, fuck. Like
They snuck one in to
I'm
talk to me as well. Like when you turn around and you
Yeah,
see one
yeah,
of the spirits, and you're just like, oh god, yeah.
son of a bitch.
They're
Yeah,
good for one
They'll
good
get
one.
you.
Actually, this
They'll
is
get you every now and then.
not scary, but those two writer directors, their next project will be a documentary on the style of like WWE style wrestling, where they like cut each other up and hit each other with barbed wire covered bats.
Really,
Yeah, it's like
I
hardcore
heard-
style of wrestling or something like that.
I actually did hear in an interview from them because they've been interviewing a lot for this. They apparently decided this movie they wanted them to make a Street Fighter movie,
Mm.
which I'm not. I don't know if anyone here's a Street Fighter fan. I'm not really, but apparently they wanted those two guys to do a Street Fighter movie. Which, we all know video game to movie adaptations are, especially fighting ones, like the Mortal Kombat ones. All
Is-
right,
At least those kind of have like a
But I
plot-ish. I don't know.
but I'm just saying, like the guys, like that, their origins were fighting. Like that was their whole thing on you. You remember, Eric? We were all into was it Harry Potter versus Star Wars? That was them. You were the chosen one. Like that.
Yeah,
whole,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
the video. That's them. Yeah.
What?
But I think apparently they like really wanted to do. That's the same guys. Is this just connecting for you?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the
I'm-
Rocka Rocka guy, the Rocka Rocka guys who did the Harry Potter versus Star Wars video from college.
Yeah,
They are the ones who did Talk to Me and Bring Her Back. It's the
That's
same
just-
dudes.
Huh.
It's the same dudes. The whole what are you talking about? That's literally the director of Talk to Me.
I mean, this is like the
That's-
same news as when I found out the guy from Barbarian is from the guy from the
it's from
Whitest
the whitest kids you know. Yeah.
Like I can't
No,
believe
it's the same
those
guy.
guys from like a very niche part of our like consuming media.
They are now directors actually very successful directors, I might add. Like, not just dudes where you're like, oh, this guy's directing a movie, cool. Like, no, actually, they have a unique way they have a style to their filming. Like, they're good. I'm excited to see what they do next.
It's the next gen of these directors, man. Like, it just feels like they're coming from the woodworks, which is
Zach Kreger. I mean, you said whitest kids, Zach Kreger. We were talking about weapons. Yeah, that looks nuts. I feel bad that we're really harping in on horror.
Yeah.
David Mike is on the pod. I'm gonna try to pivot. I'm gonna try to pivot.
You mentioned Star Wars, Brian. Eric, maybe you can provide some insight. Please. But Dave Filoni is being eyed to co-run the Star Wars franchise alongside of Carrie Beck. Carrie Beck pretty much does like all of like the kid animated shows, that kind of level. Okay. So like there's a couple of Lego shows, there's like Rebels, and there's like Star Wars Resistance. And then she also worked on the live action Ahsoka. And then Dave Filoni pretty much has like a hand in every pot except Andor. Yeah. And then
and to be fair, Ahsoka was like his brainchild.
Yeah. It was Rebels. It was the next season of Rebels.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally.
And he's doing the
Star Wars guy.
And I saw a quote about this, where there's a little bit of questions about this promotion, if you will, for Filoni, because the question is he too close to the lore? And like he sees it being his own way and he can't make his judgment. And the big quote that came out, I think today,
I saw this.
Is that I saw this. He's the Ahsoka guy, not the Andor guy. And that it just like is a punch to the gut, considering like what those two shows mean for like Star Wars fan, where Ahsoka is very much a lore building of the universe that's like show that panders a bit to its audience, while Andor is just this like real world grounded story that just happens to be in the Star Wars universe and is by far the best thing Disney's put out for an audience like us. Like, there is like, I think the good thing about Star Wars is for everyone. You get a Goonies show that like
that's what they worked on together.
Did you see? Did anyone see? Mike? Did you see Skeleton Crew? I don't know if anyone saw it.
I didn't watch it.
I heard good things about it.
Yeah,
like people seem to like it. I don't know. I think it's tough to say with Tony Gilroy though, because I don't think he'd want to or is even capable of being the head runner for this. But like, it is kind of funny to be like, yeah, this Filoni, he's the Ahsoka guy, not the Andor guy. Because I feel like now Andor, all Star Wars, corporates realizing like, oh wait, people like that. Oh, whoa. Well, I guess we had it wrong.
Critically acclaimed. Yeah.
What do you mean they didn't want more the Glub Shitto spin-off series?
The decision to cancel might have been like the worst, best thing ever, because then you got the rest of the story and everyone's like, oh, this is pretty good. But they also like did in the series.
Was it supposed to be five? Was it supposed to be 5 seasons? That was
something
the original
like
plan, right?
And something like that.
And then they I'm happy with what we got, but it is funny.
Speaking of horror, apparently one of the seasons was going to be completely focused on K2SO, and it was supposed to be like a horror show, pretty much. Like, if you heard about this,
Star Wars show?
Like it was like this. Go ahead, Micah.
Oh, no, never mind.
No, I was just gonna say like his introduction was gonna be, because you remember seeing those the bots when they were at Gorman, like how scary they were, and like the concept was, it never came to fruition, but the concept would be like those bots on a ship, and like what happens at that point if like you're stuck on with those guys. With those bots when they're trying to kill you. Like, that's some Mike Myers Terminator type shit. But for Star Wars as a whole, listen, they haven't put out a movie since Rise of Skywalker. That, and it made money, but universally hated.
That's the last movie they've put out.
Yep.
That's damn.
The next one's going to be Mandalorian and Grogu, which they've been trying to build on since 2019, and it'll be, if you think about it, it's going to be like 7 years of projects coming to a head at this movie that has little to no hype, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I don't think anyone's too excited.
Does anyone here give a shit?
Well, that's 2026, right?
2026.
Okay.
And so that's 7 years since the 2019 first season of Mandalorian, which was helmed by Filoni and Favreau, and was great, a great step. And then and it was obvious Filoni dug his fingers in it. It was like, we got to put in Ahsoka, we got to do this, we got to put in that, and like pander to the audience. I think, and this has all been spearheaded by Filoni, so we're going down a weird route here. But I'm also on the wave that Kathleen Kennedy needs to step down at some point too. So Star Wars is kind of in a limbo.
I think Tony Gilroy and the Andor success was a big thing that kind of is established or say, I don't want to say saving, but kind of like putting Kathleen Kennedy in good graces with a lot of Star Wars fans, because obviously she's had a lot of hate for a while, but now you got Tony Gilroy coming out and be like, nah, like, oh, you guys like the show? Like, she fought for the show. Like, they didn't want it to happen. She didn't. Everyone's kind of like, listen, Kathy, you might have biffed it on the movies, but no one could take that away from you.
Dude,
you pearled that.
Her resume is insane. Her resume is insane.
From like what, to highs to lows? Like,
no, I mean,
the spectrum of what she's
done. Like what she's credited on is really crazy. But speaking of, Disney being in trouble, where do we go from here? Thunderbolts is going to finish
making
less
about
money
this.
than both Black Adam and Eternals.
Wow.
Not my fault, because I saw all three of these in theaters.
I saw it. Mike, did you see it in theaters?
Oh no, dude, I'm not watching those.
Mike, is that an artisanal piece or not? No, dude, but Thunderbolt. Oh man, but I gotta say, like, that's a bummer. Like, Mike, I guess I'll give you to say this if you're not somebody who's not who watches, because we're not. I wouldn't even say we're not really even big Marvel heads here. Like,
not anymore.
If there was a Marvel movie, anymore, Claude. If there was a Marvel movie of recent release that I'd be like, people should have supported that one, it was this one. And the fact that this made less than the fucking Eternals and how? I thought people were seeing it. I was excited to see it.
They didn't. I think they just picked
Maybe
two movies as examples that people are pretty down on. But I think this is less than Captain America from February, which I think
it made less than Captain America.
Yeah,
Whoa,
I think it burned all the goodwill.
I guess I forget that, like, I tend to roll in circles both on Twitter and like my friends, like you guys, with people who have like generally pretty decent taste in movies. So like in my mind, when I hear everyone's being like, Thunderbolts is actually pretty good, I saw it. I felt like people were going to see it. And then I forget that there's no accounting for taste because the fucking Lilo and Stitch is blowing up. I didn't realize how much money these other movies are making. I'm just shocked, man. I thought that movie was pretty good, and I went to go see it, and I really I thought it was making good money.
Yeah, dude. It sets a really bad and dangerous precedent for a franchise that's already on its, not its last legs, but it's on the ropes, right? It needs this next set of Avengers movies and this Fantastic Four and their Spider-Man movie.
Fantastic Four is going to make a ton of money, though.
They need them to do great. And they need, and
we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, they need to do great.
I hate this shit.
If they biff these Avengers movies with how crazy this is, I mean, you said it, Mike. I don't know where we go from here, because these movies have been trending down with the amount of money they're making. This is actually a good, like, they put some quality together.
Solid movie.
Spit on their hams, did some elbow grease, and it's a quality movie.
You could put this movie in front of Mike Rivera over here, and he'd be like, "Hey, there's a solid action romp." I think it's a solid, like, Thunderbolt. Well, he's not a Marvel guy. I'm not. I get it. Yeah. Like but it was like you could actually tell, Mike. They actually could tell they shot on location. Yeah. You can tell they actually tried to make a movie that felt like a movie, which is, it doesn't sound like much, but in today's era, when a movie actually looks like a movie.
Micah, I think, kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit. Like, Eric made me go watch Captain America back in, what is that, February or something like that, when I really didn't want to. And honestly, that, I think you're right. Like, that did burn. Like, I was like, okay, I've been shitting on Marvel for like 2-3 years. I used to love Marvel. You guys, I know, all watched all of the, like, original Avengers movies and stuff, like, all through college and everything. I loved them. I was in the theaters going to see movies multiple times. And then I was like, there was like a turning point where I was like, I'm done with all this. This is like, it is too much. Like, I want like an original standalone movie. I don't want all of the worlds to be connected somehow. You know, oh, this guy just showed up at the fucking post-credit scene of this next thing. Shut up.
Yeah.
make a regular movie, please. Like make I don't know. But anyway, so then
I know
was
a
like,
guy.
okay, cool. Yeah. And so then I was like, okay, I'll watch this Captain America movie. It was terrible.
It was not
And
good.
so
Real bad.
I was like, I'm not gonna watch the next Marvel movie. And I think I probably should have done that the other way around.
No,
I
it's,
mean,
Maybe I'll get back on Thunderbolt.
it's just more like this is the kind of thing where like you've got a string of movies coming up that are going to be the like this leads into this, and this leads into this, like the shit you're talking about no one likes, and then the movie that they push to being like it's different.
Yeah.
Now you're telling me it made the least amount of money out of all of them. I'm like, a movie that I went to see in theaters, and I'm like, wow, that was actually cool. And now you're telling me it failed. Now it's going to be like, well, we tried that.
Yeah.
Now Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, and so is Chris Evans, and so is this guy, and it's just going to be the same crap because they made a movie with a bunch of no names, and I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. That's a bummer. That's just a
thinking
bummer.
about that because Eric, last episode you said like, with the delay and all the set photos, they're definitely just kind of like writing this as they go, and I wonder if they're gonna learn the wrong lesson from this. So like we tried with like some guys that were promising that made a good TV show, with some smaller cast and less star power in real life and less superpower in the movie, and we're like, all right, not doing that again. Move this behind Spider-Man so we can be in it.
They probably just made
alive or dead is gonna be in it. And we're gonna all the explosions we can do because maybe this one was under actioned or what have you. No more of
Micah. You're not wrong. The call probably just went in to the writers' room on set.
Yeah.
Of Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
Someone was already halfway through a script and they just got to call. Yeah, ditch that plan. Time to go to Plan Zeta.
Yeah, Zeta.
Plan
Evans.
We've tried everything from A to Y. They're gonna try. Now they're gonna try a new one. Now they're gonna try a new one.
Plan Z. There it is.
I'm telling you, man. No, Mike. We were talking about this last week on the bike. We're like, I'm convinced that Doomsday is being literally rendered before our eyes. Like, there's no way this script. They're just writing this one as they're going. There's some dude or dudes in the corner of that set that has been leaked. The photos have been leaked that are just like typing, and then they get like one scene ready. They go film it, and then they see how the world is reacting to what's going on. And doing it again.
Oh,
by the way, I want to make.
We're fantastic.
I want to make sure you guys have enough time.
Being bad. I'm sorry. What were you saying, Brian?
No. I just want to make sure we had time to talk about the movie because I think it's a hard stop. So
yeah.
I want to make sure we left enough time.
Good.
If Fantastic Four
please,
is bad, we're like this close to getting CGI Chadwick Boseman.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree, Micah.
Oh,
but they're gonna be like we're this close. We're this close to basically being like, actually, it was all a dream. It's actually just the Avengers 1 again. But everyone went back to the Avengers.
They already did that in Endgame. But
yeah, fuck.
Speaking of going back to fix stuff, perhaps our movie of the week.
Wait, I have one last thing to say about movie.
Yeah,
news.
please.
Yeah. I just wanted to give a shout out to Drew Struzan. I don't know if you guys saw the news. Apparently, he's a very famous movie poster painter, and he is no longer able to paint due to his Alzheimer's. So I pulled some of his works that I have copies of. He did.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
He did paintings for the original Star Wars. I think he did up through the first up through
like the prequels.
2. Yeah, the prequels. So I got some.
That's
of his
actually
stuff.
cool. I didn't know that.
He
That's
did some of the OG Harry Potters. Yeah.
Like those old like watercolor looking ones from the. I say watercolors like as if it's watercolor. But you know what I mean? The like painting ones from the.
It's a distinct style.
Legitimately, I just thought that these were like pictures put through like a filter. So like.
That's what I thought too. I didn't know he
are painted. Like that's fucking awesome.
Cool. That's
and
a cool.
Figured I wanted to give him a shout out because that is and a thanks for his hard work. That is a very cool. That's a very
lot of
cool
those. I think it's a great shout, Mike. A lot of those like covers back when my mom would own VHS, or you guys still own it, but like DVDs, physical media, like that's what makes me think of my childhood with those.
Yeah.
Those.
Yes, dude. Yes.
I actually didn't tell you guys. I'm about to come into possession of drawers of physical media. They're not all
There
winners.
we go.
But my parents are clearing out their old storage unit. They're like, Brian, do you want these? I'm like, yeah. So I'm going back down this month and I'm clearing it out. Now, is there also Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True, direct to Disney DVD in there? Sure. But there's a lot of good stuff. I think I have I think it's got like the Sopranos box set in there. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I'm about to go crazy. A lot of VHS. and I'm getting a VCR too, Mike. So
Dude, I gotta get mine set up in the new house.
Yeah. Word.
I'll lend you my Last Crusade.
Hell yeah. They definitely don't have that one.
Banger.
But hey, Mike, why don't you give a little intro to the movie that you picked for us this week? I watched it this morning. It was on HBO Max, believe it or not.
Yes.
That's where I watched it. It was. So I watched it today on HBO Max.
Yes, that's exactly where I watched it. Yes. Thank you guys for allowing me to pick this movie. This is a movie that's been at the top of my watch list for a very long time. This is Paris, Texas, the 1984 movie directed by Wim Wenders. It is it's been at the top of my list for a long time because it's one of those movies that people reference a lot, like when you watch the like actors on actors, or when actors and directors go in like their Criterion closet, or when you see people on on the Letterboxd page talking about their 4 favorites, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Super hugely influential on a lot of modern day cinema. It is also in the 4 favorites of one of my friends from high school who is probably the biggest movie guy I know. Definitely watches more movies than all of us. It's Ian, who Micah and Eric have both met. And so I was like, coming from all these different people, this has got to be a banger. And I personally thought it was. Visually stunning. The color palette was fantastic. As Micah mentioned in his Letterboxd review, the fits were insane. And I genuinely just thought it was a really, really beautiful movie. Super well paced, and, slow, but like slow the whole way through, kind of like really like purposely slow paced. And yeah, thought it was beautiful.
Run us through the plot, Mike.
Sorry, the plot. There's basically the idea
just for the
is
listeners.
This man turns up in the middle of nowhere yes, of course, yeah. A man turns up in the middle of nowhere in Texas, and he has clearly been traveling for a long time. He's like really disheveled, got a big scraggly beard, and he's pretty much completely mute. And he shows up in a small town out by out like Del Rio, Big Bend area, Texas, out on like the Mexico border, and he gets picked up and basically brought to a tiny little clinic, and the clinic calls the number that he has listed in his wallet, and his brother, who lives out in LA, comes to get him, and it turns out that the guy has been missing for 4 years. His brother and his brother's wife have been taking care of his son for those 4 years. His son is 6 years old at the time, or 7 years old, sorry, about to be 8. And it's basically about them trying to figure out what he's doing and where he's been, trying to kind of get him back on his feet. He is in pursuit of happiness, and he's really lonely, and he's trying to reconnect with his wife, who they clearly split up for unknown reasons, and it's kind of a little bit of mystery of what happened to him. Why did he go missing for so long? He doesn't really know because he's got a bit of amnesia, and yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up without giving away too much.
All right. Mike, you gave your thoughts. What about you, Brian? Coming fresh up this morning.
I guess.
What do you think?
I mean, I think it's one of those ones. It's actually one that I want to. I do want to watch again, because like I've obviously sometimes after I watch a movie that I enjoy, I'll read a little bit about like what kind of some things mean, because like they talk about the idea of Paris, because like a lot of the characters talk about Paris, Texas, and that. But I think I just will talk about more like objectively what I loved. One, and people talk about this a lot, that is it Robert Mueller, the cinematographer? I don't want to misquote his name. It's Mueller something.
Yeah, Robbie,
people
Robbie
talk about
Mueller.
it being one of the most like Rob Mueller, it's one of the most gorgeously shot movies ever, and I have to agree that this movie is visually just like I don't every shot from the minute to like the more grand is just like it's incredible. The performances I think across the board were great. And the dynamics between all the characters I thought were fantastic. Again though, I just think it's one of those ones where like I would love a second viewing to break down a little bit more about like how the characters go because like I feel like you start with one movie and then it just kind of pivots at one point to another, right? You start at the beginning where he goes from like it's a story about two brothers reconnecting, and then it completely pivots to Travis and his family and the dynamic and what happened there. But no, I thought like there are a couple shots in this movie that I was like, holy fuck! Specifically when him and there's some shots when him and Travis and Hunter are on the road to go find his mom, and they stop at that rest stop to call. I don't know what they were doing with the lighting there, but it was just I loved it. I loved every second of it. And you know what? It was enough for me to ignore the glaring age gap between Travis and Shan, because I was like, because Henry, who was the guy who played I'm sorry, who's the one who played Travis? He was great.
Harry Dean
I'm
Stanton.
gonna forget his name. Harry Dean Stanton. Harry Dean Stanton was great. Harry Dean Stanton was about 60 when they filmed the movie. From what I understand, they were supposed to be like 17 or 18, like 25, and even if like he was supposed to be in his 40s, ew. But
Well,
I guess
yeah,
at
that's
the
part
time,
of it. That's part of
that-
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and I know that's part of why he like feels he's like, yeah. It's just one of those ones I don't know what I expected. I kind of thought it was going to be a like kind of like a almost like a spin on the Western genre, and it was just not at all. I had no knowledge going into this movie
Not at
this
all,
morning
yeah.
when I watched, but I thought it was sad. It was emotional. Like, but I think a lot of people love this movie primarily because of the technical aspect, like the direction, the performances, and the cinematography is just off the charts, like crazy incredible. That was my takeaway from one watch. I'd have to watch it again to get a deeper breakdown. So I'll pass it off. I'll pass off the mic.
Me?
Or pass off the mic. Sorry, the microphone too. That wasn't
Oh,
clear.
okay.
To Eric. To
All
Eric.
right.
To Eric. As soon as I heard it, I was like, no, wait, that wasn't clear. To Eric,
We're all
I
like,
guess,
what are you
yeah.
talking-
Go ahead.
Eric, do you
No,
want
no,
to
my
talk
bad.
about what you thought?
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll jump in. I'm just about 2 hours removed from finishing this movie now, so this is like fresh in my brain, burned in that final shot. Some points you guys have already hit on. This movie is just, it's beautiful. Like, I was struck from like that wide shot from the beginning of like Texas, the American Southwest, and you're just thrown into this mystery. And I don't think he talks for the first 45 minutes. And you're just thrown into his mystery. And it keeps you, like, there's not a ton going on. And I'll get to, like, my idea on that in a second. But you're just, like, so enthralled in what's going on in this family dynamic. And the first half, to your point, Brian, you're, like, kind of stuck on this mystery. Where has he been? And then when his son asks him, he just simply says, like, I was in Mexico. There's your answer. And then it turns into this other film about him reconnecting with his wife, with Hunter on this other road trip. You barely see Walt and again, you don't see him again after the phone call. There's no other story with that. And again, you're thrown into another mystery that keeps you like enthralled. Like, what happened that split this family up? And now you're like, all right, like, this is what they're chasing. How are they going to get back? And obviously the reveal in that scene where it's this long phone call, if you will, mirror scene, god damn, that is just some intense stuff. And one shot in particular, when their faces kind of overlay on each other, I don't know if you guys remember, their eyes are literally like locked on each other, is just like, how did they think of this shot? How did they even possibly get this? And it's
I didn't know what a
beautiful,
peep show was
long-
until I saw
Yeah.
this movie. So I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know what that was.
And it's just
that
like
was all new.
long cuts. I see so much why like current directors, actors love this, try to emulate stuff from this movie. And then I will say, in terms of the story itself, just like the word that came to mind for me was very like a sobering take on like the reality of families and just like how hard grace and forgiveness is, and then also just like how easy it is to be estranged. Like that comment he has, like, is 4 years a long time for when he's talking about being away from his son, is just like such a scary concept. And like the amnesia is such a beautiful like way of
What does he say? He says it is to a little boy, right? That's what
Yeah,
that's
it's
what
about half
Walt
his
says,
life.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, to a little boy it is.
and just
It's a long
like
time.
people are fighting their own battles, and it within a family. Like obviously to him, I'm not gonna give away the ending, but like he's been gone for a long time trying to figure out his shit, where his son's like trying to grow up, and through like the transition of grief is and trauma is like inheriting some of that to a degree, but it's still willing to forgive, and that's the beauty of children.
Yep.
I don't know, that this was Mike. You chose a really like beautiful, sobering, and just like
Poignant.
thought-provoking movie. Yeah, poignant movie. Like that really like it hit me. I was like how dads do when they're watching TV. I was like standing up at the end, like just like staring at the screen. Like Riley was working at my apartment and came out, and she's like, "You enjoying it?" I was like, oh my god, I was just so dialed in. It was like George Pickens when he was getting drafted, like just sitting back, like just locked in. Yeah, I mean, I hit on a lot, but Micah, what did you think?
Yeah, I love this. Like I knew, like I'd seen stills from it. I knew it was gonna be beautiful. But what really got me is like how much of the visuals like contributed to the story. I think like one of my favorite scenes is when Travis and Hunter, the second time he tries to walk home from school with him, and they're on opposite sides of the street and they're mirroring each other. That is, I mean, silently just so like it just contributes to the story. They are like separate, but you can see them like growing closer, and like they show that beautifully. The scene you talked about in the phone booth, when they finally come to an understanding after they both kind of confessed, and their faces go over each other after kind of taking turns having their, I mean, the lights on, I can't see you, having their backs turned, and then finally like literally like melding together. I thought that was great. I think like I knew I was in for like some heat, like when I saw like Harry Dean Stanton when he's being mute, and he like leaves his brother the first time, and the brother like catches up to him, and you see him like shaking because he's like so afraid to get in that car, because of what you find out later. Which, I mean, that yeah, like he gave a fantastic performance first silently, and then like the whole time he was just so interesting to watch. Couldn't take your eyes off him. He's just brilliant. And then I wanted to ask y'all this question because I was thinking about the plot of the movie, and I guess we'll spoil this movie that's like 60 years old. So,
It's almost 40, almost 50.
Yeah, the Travis character, like morally, like you sympathize with him because it's such a well fleshed out character and everything. But if you think about what he does in the story, like he's kind of the villain start to finish.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, but I think like that's the magic of this movie. Like you get why he's doing it. He like tears two families apart, puts one back together. It's kind of it's very like you said, Eric, thought provoking. Kept me thinking.
Mike, I'll pass over your car. We're doing popcorn reading style right now. What do you think about to answer Micah's question?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I think when I was watching it through, initially I thought that I thought that the reason that Travis was mute was because something had happened to him, if that makes sense. Like I really just kind of thought like, oh, like he must have gone through something that like, you know, maybe like he was attacked, maybe he got like he went to Mexico, maybe he like got in with the band, like the wrong crowd or something. I don't know. I was like really like so much of it trying to figure out like maybe what could have happened, what could have happened, and then the reveal of like, oh, he was like emotionally and physically abusive to Jane, and
yes, Jane.
And like,
Jane.
and like him kind of going into this like this like fit of rage, like blind rage, with like through his like drinking and like his drinking problems and things like that, that like emotionally like fucked him up so much where he was like just disappear for 4 years, you know. And so I don't know. I just thought it was so interesting because I feel like a lot of times, like I don't know. I don't know what you guys thought what happened to him and his family, but I thought like maybe he'd been kidnapped or like maybe you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like I
It
didn't.
seemed like it was going to be a little more like crazier than what we found, like,
Yeah,
right? You know,
She
like,
did light him on fire, guys.
but yes, she did light him on fire, but kind of deservedly so.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
100%.
like,
yeah.
like I probably would have lit him on fire too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's like kind of upsetting about the movie, and my silver lining of it is that obviously Jane and Anne had a form of relationship. So I'd like to think that after the movie that I don't know what Jane's gonna do, or I'm sure like her and Anne will still like contact him, like have Hunter be a part of both their lives. But like it's hard to say. Like I get why Travis wanted to do what he did, but I felt for her because Anne has that conversation with Walt where she's like I love him, like he's like my flesh and blood.
Mhm.
Like these people, this woman and this other took this boy in with two parents who basically vanished. Jane a little less so, was sending money. She knew she was in Houston, like sending some money, but Travis gone. They loved this kid, like this was their son by all
Yeah.
like you know like all that,
He's
and
calling
then
them mom and dad.
he just he
Yeah.
kind of pulls him away to like go to Jane, and that's why my only silver lining is that I kind of feel like Jane is going to like connect with Anne because she probably has a lot of things like, okay, I want to be a part of this kid's life now, but like I don't know what her apartment situation's like. I don't know what her obviously
Yeah.
her work situation is a peep show, but it is kind of crazy when like you think about it. Like I as Hunter wanted to go on his own accord, but like my heart kind of goes out to Walt and fucking and Anne because this kid just leaves. Like he just
Yeah.
took their son essentially away.
Straight out of
because
school.
because what you decided to just come out, you decided to come back and be a dad, even though we're the ones who have been putting this kid through school, like you know, like teaching him to read, doing all the shit that parents are supposed to fucking do.
Yeah.
That's kind of stuck with me a little bit.
Yes, like to that and to your point earlier, Brian, about him being a villain. Like you sympathize with him because you see him recovering through this amnesia, and you're kind of rooting for him to figure this out because you're also so enthralled in the mystery and you want to know what happens. And you see him get back on his feet. You do the whole little like, it's not the same as like the makeovers you do in like rom-com movies, but he's hanging out with the janitor being like, what kind of dad do you want to be? And he's wearing a goofy suit and like you're rooting for him. But he's for what it's worth, and with the whole reveals and what he does
Knocked
throughout
up
the
a
movie,
17-year-old.
an incredibly selfish character.
Yeah.
In a way, like to your point, Brian, him taking the son, he fails as a brother. He's already failed as a father before. He's failed as a husband. And he says in his phone call saying bye to his son again. Like, his son saying, like, I don't think I can handle you leaving again. Being like, I can't, like, you've shown me I can be a father. So thank you, but I need to, and it's sort of like, he's like, I can reunite you with your mom, but I can't be there.
So
Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
sorry. I think one point, like the first time he goes to the peep show and he calls her, and they're in the hotel room, not the kitchen set or wherever they were, the restaurant set, but the first time, and he instantly gets so angry, and he's like
She's
asking
a
her,
sex worker
"Oh,
or
do you have
whatever,
sex
right?
with these
Like,
men? How many men? Like all this stuff." And then like later on, you find out he was like, "Yeah, I would get insanely jealous just being at work, imagining you in his mind." And I think he realized like in that moment, he was like, "Oh, I haven't changed like at all." Like just seeing her like set him off again.
and
So I think
Mike
still
brought up.
selfish, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Mike brought up the point earlier when I made the joke about the age gap, where it's like they kind of hint at it, where they're like, he goes like, I felt like I was chaining you, which is like a big thing with like these young women who get in these older relationships. Like it was probably all fucking fun and games because she's a kid, she doesn't fucking know any better. Then they have a kid, then the baby comes along, and all of a sudden she feels trapped because he's what fucking some late 30s 40-year-old drunk, and she's 21
Yeah.
wants to like
that
go
point?
out and like
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of
when
an
he leaves. Yeah, when he leaves, he's 21, I think. Because I think he's
Yeah,
25
so it kinda-
when they reconnect.
So it kind of, I guess it's like, even as kind of ick, but like I guess it kind of addresses that point where it's like, yeah, like he kind of starts to see like how kind of grotesque it is, like he kind of goes like, I was a bit older, and you see why, like you start to see where he's like, I felt like you were trapped in this trailer, and it's like because you did trap her in that trailer because you're a selfish fucking prick.
I mean,
Yeah.
the
Who
cowbell.
I ultimately sympathize with. The cowbell was crazy. That is a
Yeah.
bananas move.
And I thought, to your point, Micah, about like visual storytelling, it was so powerful in the obviously the mirror set, where the first half of his like confession, when he's talking about like, I knew these two people, the shots on him and with her face in the background, and then when he's talking about like the despicable things he did, he's like, there was a change. It's only of her face, and you're not seeing him on the other side talking about like, and he's like not changing his tone of voice at all. Everything's matter of factly, but he's very like, he's like, and this person chained her up and did all this. Like, I chained her to the stove, or he chained her to the stove with a belt.
Let her scream all night, you know, like just
and he's like,
like,
and I felt nothing. And you don't see him when he's telling you this. Like,
I think Mike, we were talking about it earlier. Like the reason why people, directors, cinematographers, actors, love this movie is because you show how much you can accomplish with very little. Right? You don't have some character like like for an actor, right? You're not seeing some actor being like screaming and pleading and blah blah. For a director, you're not seeing these like complex tracking shots, or cinematographers dealing with like crazy expensive lighting sets. They showed with two actors doing pretty tame, subtle performances in an area like you had beautiful shots, incredible direction, and incredible performances with very little.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it
In
really is a movie that shows about how
tiny space.
yeah. Exactly.
Even, like,
it showed how much you could
that I
accomplish
can really
with less.
remember,
Like,
or like
no,
any
the score
sound.
was pretty bare bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
there's
that
no
every
score
now and
over
then.
The callbox scene.
Oh,
there's no score.
that whole callbox
No.
scene is
Completely
silent.
silent. Yeah.
No, I think it's just a movie that shows how much you can do, like with so little. It's impressive. I mean, shit. I get it. I get it now. I do see why people talk about this movie in the regard that they do.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's actually inadvertently very good or very on topic for the three of us that are going to see Phoenician Scheme later, because apparently Wes Anderson has said that this is a movie that he's referenced in the past, and I think a lot of like I think he's like kind of taken specifics out of it. I did see in Royal Tenenbaums when he's like looking at when the dad in Royal Tenenbaums is looking at like the videos of like the dead wife, he basically took that straight from this movie of like the Super 8 footage of the families together in
That was
Texas,
a great scene,
which is crazy good. But also like just like on a level of like what the color of the sky is in these shots, like how everything is so bright orange on the ground and so like teal blue in the sky. That like color grading is like, that's Wes. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and you've seen the, like that style of color grading.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson's kind of taken that and gone like crazier, obviously, because he's gone like even more like it's like a, you know, like over the top, but it's beautiful and it's awesome.
I just thought of a random reference this movie probably was a reference to. Do you remember the 2016, 2015, it was Academy Award nominated Lion with Dev Patel? About the Indian kid who
made
goes
by
back
some
home?
Elon alum. No.
Oh, shit. There's a scene in the movie where this couple is kind of flirting and they're walking on opposite sides of the streets and like mirroring each other's like thing. And now I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh, but clearly right from this movie, which obviously has a crazy reach. Damn. Influential as hell. I'm so jealous you guys are going to see Phoenician Scheme after this. I'm going to go upstairs and make pasta and probably watch whatever's on fucking streaming. Dickheads.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
I mean, we're going to it. Go ahead, Micah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, now the Now You See Me movies are hitting Netflix, so everyone can get nice and ready for this winter.
Now you three me. Now you three me, baby.
Yeah, I mean, to our point earlier, like, we're watching it at the AMC Courthouse we can just walk to from here. But the movie's supposed to start at 7, so in 3 minutes. However, based off our conversation earlier, we know we're gonna be just fine walking in there. Couple minutes.
Do I
late.
get to pick? Is it my turn to pick the movie?
It is, Brian. It is.
Yeah.
Should I do that? Should I do it now? By the way, Mike can come back on anytime he wants. I like having another
Yeah.
set of ears on this thing.
Mike, thank you.
Thank you, Mikey. Yeah, let's start with
thanks,
that.
Mike.
Let's say Mikey. Mike, thanks for coming on here. This is a great movie, and now you guys are right there, so you might as well just come on whenever we're feeling slow content. Just be like, all right, let's bring Mike in. Tell him to pick a
appreciate
movie
it.
that we wouldn't think of.
Hey guys, whenever you guys call, I'd love to jump on.
Hell yeah.
It's been awesome. Loving
It's
listening
fun, man.
to it as well, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. So.
No, you guys have
Thanks.
fun tonight. I would see the Phoenician Scheme, but I don't think I can here. Can I? Is it out
You
everywhere?
can now. It's now wide, which is why we're able to see it.
I'm going to see both because I can, Micah. I have that kind of time. But that's not going to be my movie of the week. I think you know
Ooh.
what it's going to be. I think you know, Micah.
Is it
Just
a
get
real?
ready.
Is it really a well-hatted cinema pod if you don't name this director?
Yep. It couldn't be. It'd have to bring out the origins of the Well-Hatted Club. Mike Flanagan with his new movie, The Life of Chuck, that just came out. I would have picked 28 Weeks Later, but it doesn't come out for another week and a half. So sorry, guys. This is
Damn,
this
I
is
gotta
it.
catch up on
I've
the
heard
original movies.
I've actually heard really good things about The Life of Chuck. I've heard it's a very loving life kind of movie. And gets you into theaters to support a movie that actually deserves to make money, not some of these other ones. But I am glad you guys seen Phoenician Scheme. I'm going to also see that one too.
All
But I
right,
would love to make Life of Chuck our next movie of the week.
Roger.
Let's do it.
Cool.
All right.
But you guys
Well,
have
thank
fun.
you.
You guys have fun tonight.
We will.
Yes,
And again,
yes,
Mike,
sir.
thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, Mike. Thank you for having us, buddy.
Next time we get you on, we'll
Or
have to
other
have
way
a
around,
game or
sorry.
something. Then, because now we'll have the 2v2. Mike has got the freaking balloon
How do
going.
you do that every time?
He's the only one that can make it happen.
How does it?
I don't
how
know
does
how.
that work?
I don't know.
I don't know how he does that.
It's the Mac. It just,
I
it's
don't want to
like,
make. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't want to
maybe
make you
it
guys
is
late
the
for your
Mac.
movie. So get go do your thing. But Mike, it was a pleasure having you on. All right, man.
Thanks,
All
Brian.
right.
Appreciate it. See you
All
guys.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks everyone for watching. Till next
Peace.
time.
Take care, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.